Hey guys, real quickly, I just wanted to interject and show you my pureRef scene. And for those of you who aren't familiar, pureRef is free software that you can download online, and you can it's just a way to basically display all of your images. It just lays it out really nicely for you, and you can kind of just, pan around and zoom and just pull all of your images into one place. It's like a local Pinterest in a way. So highly recommend pureRef if you don't have it. So I just went and searched gear, from the time period, Vietnam era gear. This is what's called mole gear. So it's like suspenders that are attached to a belt, and then you can just start sitting things on this belt that's around your waist. So I just found a collection of mole gear and some of the grenades that they use, like smoke grenades. I thought there's some really cool looking. I love the blue, like there's different colors, and the smoke grenade is freaking awesome looking. The boots that they might have worn, and like the K-bar knife that they would have used, and just some weapons and things like that. So, and then more pictures. This is the picture of Dick Thompson himself, and this is like a reenactor of some kind. And anyway, so I just wanted to show you guys pureRef and what I'm actually looking at on my other screen, so you have an idea of the reference that I'm using to do all my detailing and stuff. In this video, we're going to go over the I think we're going to go over the mole gear, which is basically just the suspenders and the belt, and then give him some shoes and then a beanie. And so that's the detailing I think we're going to get to in this particular video. We'll probably do a little bit of refining. I need to add some more of these pockets, to the front of his shirt there, his BDUs, and maybe change the scale of his pants pockets. So, hanging out in Zbrush, I'm going to mask these guys out first and kind of adjust their proportions a little bit just to get those more in line. Maybe a little bit bigger. Just using the snake hook to get those in place. Okay, and I think these guys are looking pretty close. You just get these back in. And then I'm going to mask these guys, invert my mask so that just those pockets are visible, and then hold Control and use this arrow to drag out these, whoops. Looks like I made those intersect, so you need to be careful about that. Rotate and get those into place. Get a little bit smaller, and I think those are a tiny bit at an angle too, like that, yeah. So these are gonna have to be deformed a little bit too, to fit properly. Definitely looking more like BDUs now with all these pockets. And you can rest assured these guys had something in these, like probably every single thing was used. I think they had these like little wrinkles too, like they go up like so. Hold Alt and do that. There we go. Try that out. Okay, so we got pockets, so many pockets. And then for the mole gear, I think I showed you in the video, earlier in the video, how that works. So these got these kind of suspenders that wrap up around the shoulders and come down, and they attach to this belt. And so let's start by making our belt. I'm going to go down to the pants subtool, and then I'm going to use make sure I hit P to go to orthographic view, hold Control, switch to my mask lasso, and then I'm going to draw it. They're a pretty huge thick belt, so I want to kind of get that working properly. And now that I've got that mask, I'm going to sharpen my mask by Control Alt left clicking and tapping on the geo. Come over here to subtool, go to extract, change my thickness to like 0.01. That's too thick. 0.001. Yeah, that's probably good. Hit accept, and now we have a belt. And I'm actually gonna do like a 1 inflate. We'll do like a 5 inflate on that. Just crank it a little bit more. Here we go. And what you can do is we don't like all these weird jagged edges, right? So if you come up here to geometry, go to edge loop, go to group loops, and click on group loops a few times. And what you can actually do is Control Shift. So if you see, it made these different poly groups. And every time you click group loops, it makes a new edge span that goes along throughout that poly group. So we have a ton of them now. We want to clean this up a little bit. So Control Shift, left click on a vert of this outer poly group, this purple poly group. Come over here to modify topology and go to delete hidden. And then we're going to run a Z remesh at like a 2 resolution along that, and it's going to give us a nice clean topology that wraps around that. And now we don't want, let's do geometry, display properties, turn on double so we can see both sides. We don't want these to connect, right, because this is a belt, and so it needs to be able to cinch up somewhere. So we're going to go over here and select this loop, and then just hit, go over here to modify topology, go to delete hidden, and I'm going to start just doing a broad smooth with X with symmetry turned on, and it's going to flatten out our belt. These belts are super tough, like kind of canvas, really rigid material. They're not super flexible. So I want to kind of achieve that look. There's not going to be a lot of wrinkles and rippling and things going on with those. And you'll notice when I hold smooth, it will not smooth the edges of the edge border of my mesh. If you want that to be the case, you can come over here to, while holding Shift, go to Brush, click on Brush, go down to Smooth Brush Modifiers, and right here you have minimum connected points to smooth. If you drop this down to 1 and then hit Smooth, it'll then smooth that edge border, that border of your polygons. So that's great. I'm going to now come over here to, let's do Z Modeler, get our Z Modeler brush, mouse over one of those faces, and then we're going to extrude and give thickness to this. So we're going to extrude polygroup on as the target, and then we're going to go like this and pull that guy out. And then for good measure, we're going to go on the edge here and do the same thing. And turn off X, because sometimes if your mesh isn't symmetrical, it doesn't like that. So turn off X, and then pull this guy out. And now we can get an interesting little like seam right there. So now if you just mouse over the green group, you can go like this and pull that guy out, and then start to add your insert more loops for creasing where they need to go. And I want this loop to slide over this way. And you can do that by going to slide and then edge loop complete, and just slide that up so that when we subdivide, it's gonna crease that corner for you. So do that over there, and then we're gonna add also more insert loops here. Now you can do this with a single loop, so you can just do single edge loop, and you can slide that around, or you could go multiple edge loops, and that way if you click and then drag, it's gonna drag out a ton of loops, whatever you want really. I only want, probably that many. And then maybe I'll slide these ones out just a little bit. And make sure that your target is edge loop complete when you're doing your slide. So now if I hit Control D, we're going to keep that edge. Everything's going to subdivide appropriately. And hit Shift D, Hit Shift D to switch down to your lower subdivision levels and delete higher. You don't need the higher subdiv just yet. And then let's see how that's looking. So now we need to kind of get everything into place. And I'm going to switch my transpose tool into, I'm going to center that, and then just kind of scale that, get the belt in just a little bit. And let's get this shirt out of the way. And I was kind of wrong to, I think, make it bulk out at the bottom. I think what I actually want to do is have this flatten and go behind that belt. So I'm using the H polish brush, kind of tuck this behind the belt. Using the Damien sander now to carve along the top of that, and then I'm going to hold Alt to kind of pull it back out just a little bit. Okay, so now we've got a rough tactical belt in there, which is cool. So now we need to, I think what I'm going to do actually is increase its thickness. And this is mostly kind of for stylization. I think I want it to just pop out a little bit more. And maybe straighten it out just a little bit. So with X on, I'm gonna pull that guy up just a little bit. And get the shirt out of the way again. Okay, and now that we're on the shirt subtool, the first thing I'm gonna do is save. And then we're gonna mask extract our the top parts of our shoulders. So with symmetry on, our shoulder straps, that is. So I have this guy come in like this. And these guys are pretty thick, and I've also noticed these guys would sometimes add padding to these because they had tons of weight harness onto them, so they would add these extra kind of pads to these to help with the comfort level. Looks like they probably, there's a few ways to go about it. I think I'm going to have this combine right here, because I haven't ever tried this method. Have it connect up here a little bit higher. Whoops. There we go. I started poly painting by accident. Okay. I kind of want these to be pretty bulky because I think that'll look cool. Blurring, sharpening, and then do another extract. I'll try 0.02 for now, probably too much. 0.01, let's go with it. Accept, switches it to a new subtool, and then let's continue to refine these guys. Make sure your symmetry's on. So when you run your extract, it'll by default turn that off. Dynamesh. And just kind of get these back to where we had them in the mask. Actually, I think this might pull down just a little like so. And then we have some more. Okay, speaking of straps, well, let's refine this just a little bit. How far around did those come? Bump my resolution a little bit to the mid 2s, and just increase the size. Now I think what I'm going to try here is let's do a save, and these straps actually come all the way down and connect to the belt below. So I'm going to have these guys come down. I'm actually going to go over here to the curve strap snap, and then if you just drag on the mesh, it'll make this interesting little strap. And so if you scale your size out, let's turn off our pockets because we don't want to snap to those pockets. We just want to go kind of like, for now, down to the belt directly, and that's going to give us a pretty good strap there. You'll be careful dragging that around because that's going to, as the name implies, it's going to snap to the other geo. So I think we did that's a good run. So we'll get rid of the rig curve and move into these cool suspenders we got going on. And I'm looking at there's different types of gear. One of these has a strap that comes down all the way, and I think I like this other one better. So I'm going to undo this and come back to the curve strap snap brush, and then I'm only going to come down to like right here, and then some of these I'm going to get rid of the rig, the spline, and scale this draw size down, and then come in like this at an angle. So some of these would come in interestingly like this, and like kind of a V shape. And I'm going to use my move topological brush to kind of get those. This should be a little bit shorter, I think. This stuff can take a lot of time. These are the interesting details. We kind of get into more finer detailing right now, which is cool. And then we don't necessarily want it to completely follow along with those wrinkles, so I'm going to come back with the move topological and just move these guys into place. And just remember, like, these contact points are probably going to be covered by packs. So we got that, and then on the back side, it looks like we're going to go back to the strap snap and have these two straps that come all the way down right here. Okay. That's looking good. And then now you can kind of sculpt your wrinkles depending on where those straps kind of fell. You can kind of start to fit those better into place. Right now I'm using the H polish to just kind of flatten the shirt out just a little bit. And then just kind of cleaning things up a little. And then if you wanted to, we could probably add, like, if you come over here to curve tube and scale in your draw size, you can kind of like add a little interesting hook thing here. And it's a little too inflated, so we'll just come over to deformation and do a deflate. Oops. And now using the inflate brush, I'm going to clean that up just a little bit. And then snake hook to kind of pull out these edges. What is going on here? Here we go. Clean that up. Turn on solo mode. Looks like we're still on our shirt accidentally. So we can just control shift left click, tap on that guy, and then come over here to subtool and go over to split and then split hidden. And now it's going to throw that in its very own fancy pants subtool. Now we're going to alt left click back to our mole gear and then drop that, hold shift, click that arrow and drop that to the bottom stack, and then merge these two together. Now I'm just going to try to get these straps a little better in place, like they've kind of been wrapped around that. And again, these details are going to be so tiny, you're not going to see them in the print, but it's good practice, I guess, so we'll just keep going with it. Kind of get this little thing behind. Okay, cool. Now, I'm gonna hit save. And the next thing we're gonna dive into, I'm gonna get his beanie going. So I think that's good for now. It's still very rough, but let's move on. So I'm gonna actually start with his head, his body geo. So I've alt left clicked onto the body geo. If I turn on solo, you can see I'm on that guy. Actually, we'll leave solo on for now. And I'm just gonna use the mask lasso and kind of draw out where the beanie should go. Come up above the ear because that's not going to extract very nicely, and then go to subtool, extract, and then run and extract at 0.006 would be fine. Hit accept, and then let's switch over to Dynamesh mode, crank it to 250 something, and start getting this in more like in the shape of a beanie. And they have these cool beanies that have these little brims on them, which I think is what this guy's wearing. So let's do this. Let's draw a mask lasso, right about like so, and then we'll sharpen our mask, control alt, left click, tap, and then do a deformation and do like kind of an inflate. Okay, and now we've got that kind of wrinkle that goes around that edge, and maybe just, it pops out just a little bit up top. You know, like maybe that's too gangbangery, I don't know. And then we want to give him his brim, so he's got these interesting little, these cool little brims. So I'm just masking along that. And I'm actually going to use the move brush and kind of pop that guy out like that. Cool. And now because this guy is a true gangster, it looks like it is probably like tilted to the side just a little bit. So I'm going to turn off symmetry, recenter my pivot, go to unmatched center, and then relock, and then kind of crank this thing to the side a little bit. And then we can start to kind of push this thing into place and then shape his hair around this. Push it up over the edge of the ear there a little bit. Alt left click over to the hair and start pushing this back underneath that beanie. And it does have hair kind of popping out right here, like the photo, so I'm going to leave some of that. Using the H polish, clean up some of this guy, get this popped out over that ear. And you might have to just like pull the ear in too, just a little bit to get it underneath. These guys were the OGs. Standard and Damien brush to carve in that guy. See, it's kind of popped out too much. It's like, it's really messing with the profile, so I'm just gonna come back here and push the ears in just a little to compensate. Okay, radical. I'm pretty happy with the shape of everything. The profile. It's looking sweet. Alright, so turn on symmetry, so we've got the hat and the suspenders pretty much banged out. Gonna save. His shirt is too buttoned up. I think it's gotta be more open. You gotta be a little more chesty. You gotta be showing that little tuft of chest hair that this probably 21-year-old kid has. He's off fighting war. I imagine to get, pressed down and wrinkly quite a bit. Okay, and what are we missing here? Turn the packs back on. Yeah, so let's try and push these guys behind the suspenders a little bit better. But we're gonna have to jump into the suspender layer. Alt left click those guys and get those out of the way, or up on top, that is. Push that guy in. And we're going to get so much gear in front of these. I'm not going to emphasize the detailing on these. I know they look polygonal and weird and kind of janky, but we're going to have so many grenades and things in front of them that I'm not going to overthink it. Again, I'm just using the Move Topological brush for this wizardry. And alt left clicking back to the shirt geo. Clean up some of these wibbly wobblies. And I'm going to add a seam using the clay buildup. Come down this guy with a fairly low poly, so we're not getting a ton here. So I think I'm going to actually just Dynamesh this, crank this to 300 or something, and see what happens. Now we've combined, just fair warning, we've combined everything in, our collar and everything into that. Just fine for now, I think. And then using the standard, I'm just going to like introduce some of these ripples just in this this guy. What's crazy too is these guys, like, as far as I can see, were not wearing body armor, and that's probably because they had to pack so much weight. There was like, it was better that they were able to move and be nimble than wear body armor, I guess. Or maybe that wasn't a thing back then. I don't know. It's crazy though. Either way, it's crazy. Okay, cool. Let's actually add some, what am I doing? Switch to the snake hook brush, turn on symmetry, and just pull this collar down just a little. I think the style of the collar still isn't quite right. This guy needs to probably come in and where that upper guy needs to be. A little bit better. A little bit better. Alright, cool. Gonna save, and then let's move on to the boots for now. And I'm just gonna look at the old reference here. Oops. You notice with my problem, the symmetry was not on. So now what I'm going to do is, you'll notice the issue here. The symmetry works from left to right. So if I go to modify topology and do a mirror and weld, I'll actually lose the work that I just did. So a way to get around that, I want to keep this and have this go over that way, is you come down here to deformation and then do a mirror on X, and then come back up here and do a mirror and weld on X. And then you'll retain all that. So it's a frequent occurrence. For whatever reason, my brain likes to work on the right hand side, and that's not good for ZBrush. Make sure symmetry's on by hitting X. I frequently have to do that because I just like to work on the right. It's just where my brain goes. I want to work on this side of the body. Okay, so I'm just going to break out the feet, the shoes, if you will. So I'm going to hold Control Shift and then switch over to Select Rect and drag a rectangle, and then come up to Subtool and go to Split Hidden. So now these feet are in their own subtool. I'm going to run a Dynamesh to fill in the hole and give it some, make it solid, and continue just to refine the shape of this first, because we're going to do all of our extractions out of this original shape. So we want it to be right. We want the shape to be on the money before we start doing our mesh extracts. So I think I want to add some thickness to the bottom of the sole. So I'm just going to drag a rectangle and then blur that mask just a little bit, and then pull that down, just add that thickness down there. Crank my resolution to 2 something. Oh, I wish I had $1 for every shoe that I've made in ZBrush. It's always fun. I like making shoes. Okay, let's start by getting the soles of the shoe, the rubber part of the shoes down here going. I'm gonna hold Control Shift, switch to my clip curve, and flatten this out real nice. Just flatten out the bottom of that foot. Okay, and then I'm actually gonna come down here, holding Shift and then Shift left click on this arrow, drop it down to the bottom of the stack. I'm gonna duplicate and work on this new shoe, and I'm going to actually run a knife curve, but I like to save before running my knife curves. I actually need to do a save as, because that function broke again. So Thompson version 7. So again, I was just going to do a quick slice, knife curve along the bottom of that shoe, And then you'll notice it threw it into its own poly group if I hit solo, and then Control Shift left click on that, and then let's get rid of everything else. If I come on over here to modify topology, I'm going to delete hidden, and then I'm going to use run a group loops to clean up my edges of these. Click it a few times, hit Control W, and now run a Z remesh at like maybe a 2 resolution. Oop, I don't want to do that. What am I doing? Z remesh, that button. And then it'll give you like a nice topology down here, okay? Let's actually run it again because it's semi-nice but not real nice. Now that's a great topology, look at that. The loops go all the way around. That's something we like to see. Make sure if you snap to the side view that it is perfectly flat. And again, way to snap to different views is as you're rotating, just hold shift and it'll snap to the nearest orthographic view. Okay, so I'm going to come in here to Z Modeler, and now I'm going to do an extrude of the entire poly group and pull that guy down. And so now, but I'm not going to go all the way because I want to actually pull down some areas more than others. And it might be beneficial. Let's just get rid of this other side over here because we can always do a mirror and weld, but it might just get in the way for now. So I'm going to hide that and then go to delete hidden. And then now with this group, there's Control Shift left click on the bottom group. Then I'm going to go to Mask Lasso and select the heel of the boot. And the idea is to get this into its own poly group. So hit Control W, so now that's its own poly group. And now we can come over here and do an extrude and bring that guy down further. And then insert edge loop, single edge loop, and I'm just going to crease those edges so that they will subdivide properly. We're already doing pretty good here. And then obviously we want this kind of, the front part of the boot or the rubber kind of tips down a little bit. So we'll just wing it with the snake hook and try and pull this guy down a little bit. I'm trying not to affect this area. So what I could do is just mask this and then blur my mask a good amount. Masking, blur mask, and now start to bring down this front area. We want that to kind of come down for us. Okay, I think that's going to work. I'm going to come in here now and actually do a delete. I'm going to delete this edge loop because I think it's going to get in the way. Some things here in a second. Control Shift left click on the red group here, mask it, invert my mask, and then I'm going to move this guy up and add some thickness to it a little bit. And I think that's pretty much good. Now what I'm going to do is do a poly group, poly loop, and I'm going to just select on the inner poly loop here, a few rows in. And then Control Shift left click, come over here to poly groups, to an auto group, and then unhide everything, and then invert my selection so only that inside group is unhidden, and I'm going to delete that guy. So this is going to make it easier just for, I guess we're not doing UVs, so I don't know what I'm thinking. But for UVs, if you need something easily to unfold, you could do that process. I guess that's just a pro tip I was just sharing. I'm just going to bevel these edges a little bit too by using a slide. So I'm going to insert an edge loop here, get closer to the edge, and then do a slide edge loop complete, and slide these guys to smooth those out just a smidge. And this one won't work as well because we don't have a perfect loop down here, but we're okay with that for now. Okay, so let's see how it's looking in conjunction with the boot. So now we have to drop this front part of the boot down to meet the sole of the shoe. Just kind of eyeball that and line it up best you can. So a lot of people don't realize ZModeler, that the capability that it has. You can really do some cool stuff with it, and it'll just save you from going in and out of other software packages. If you just kind of figure out these little subtle tools, these little adjustments, like you can add edge loops and crease and all that stuff. It just keeps you from having to drop back to Maya or Blender or whatever. Okay. Alright, so now we want to get the sole of that shoe back over, so we're going to alt left click on that guy, do a mirror and weld, and bring that back over. And the boots are getting pretty close, but obviously there's other detailing we need to be doing on those, so these are going to take a good chunk of time. So what we're going to do from here, I think, is I'm going to do a, how should we do this? I think I'm just going to carve in the tongue of the boot. So I'm going to use the Damien standard and crank my intensity just a little, kind of come down and carve this in all the way down like so. And then, you know, you're going to get some wrinkling from the laces coming in right here. Oops. And we need more polygons to work with, so I'm going to up my resolution to like double that. And then continue to carve that in. And then our pant legs will kind of overlap some of this, so we don't have to worry too much about the detailing up top here. And then one thing I like to do is just do an inflate, like a broad inflate over my details just a little bit to kind of crease up that little sharp edge on the inside there that we carved. I want to make sure that these kind of pull together more tightly. Inside of that. Clean this up, Dynamesh, and what else we got to do here? So let's add like the back part of the boot, and again let's delete this other side because it's kind of just going to be in the way for now. Just delete that guy while we're doing our detailing. So I'm going to hold Control and then draw a lasso right here for the back part of that rubber heel, and then I think I'm just going to do an extract of that. And that's a good thickness for now, I think. Oops, I did the invert. I got to invert my selection and then do an extract. What am I doing? What's going on here? Oh, there we go. It's weird. Okay, so now I've got this guy. And that's probably a good thickness. I know you're thinking it's probably inflated out a little bit too much, but when we print this to scale, I want that to show up. So I want it. So I'm going to continue to move the sole of the boot out just a little bit too, because we're going to do a super subtle detailing there that's going to be interesting. I want it to show up. Now the front of the boot needs to be, so we're going to unmask, and now we're going to, there's this little rubber part, like protective part that goes around the nose, or the front of the boot. So I'm going to use my mask lasso and draw that out. And then use my mask pen to clean it up, because it's a mess. And as far as I can see, the entire front part of that boot is going to be rubber, so I'm going to do an extract of that guy. Maybe drop the thickness down just a little. It's like 0.003. Hit accept, and now we've got these two. So I'm going to merge my rubber parts down, and then where's my sole of my shoe? That's probably down a little. That's a way up. Okay, so these are. I'm gonna merge. I'm gonna wait on the merge. Hold on one second here. So one thing I'm going to do from here is pull these out. I want to see some flat edge that comes out the side of those. I want to see a good amount of that. So still pulling these guys out. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I turn on solo, come in here, and then I'm going to polygroup this inner loop here, this guy, Control W just to make everything one polygroup so I'm not extruding the wrong things. And then I'm going to polygroup those inner three loops and make sure that I can kind of see those. I want to be able to see this inner loop because I'm going to extrude that up and add a little ridge. And this is just a little tiny detail that will not, probably won't show up, but I think it's a fun detail to add if you can make it work. And we're learning stuff, so it's all good. Okay, so now I'm going to come into ZModeler and extrude that up. In fact, what you might want to do, let's just duplicate this guy, and then Control Shift left click on that, get rid of everything else, delete hidden, and then I'm going to polygroup the Control W. Now polygroup those inner loops, so we just have this outer loop is all I want, and then I'm going to extrude that up, and then actually Control D and subdivide that a few times. So now it's kind of rounded, which is exactly what I want, what I was going for. And you get this kind of interesting little ridge that boots have at the bottom of them. And that's what I was going for. I think that's nice. It's real nice. Okay, so now I'm just going to merge that down to the sole. Merge it down to the rubber. And so now we've got these interesting, cool details. And we need to add the boot laces next. Again, I'm just going to Control Shift and then unhide or hide those guys, and then just delete hidden for now. We can just mirror and weld them over in a second here. All right, so now we're going back to the shoe, unmasking everything, and then we're going to try to add some laces here, and this is always a bit tricky, to be honest with you. First, let's do this. Let's carve in these details a little bit better. So this is essentially how we're going to draw out our laces anyway. So we're going to just do this, and this, across, and then right there, and right there. You know what I did? I went too frequent with them, so I'm going to try and simplify this a little bit so we can actually see those details. So I'm going to come way up here instead, way up here. There we go. And that way we don't have to draw so many. And in fact, maybe this detailing could possibly be enough. And you could come in here with the clay buildup brush and then crank the intensity on those and then just draw that like that too if you wanted. Maybe that's the best way to go actually. We'll probably go this, let's go this route. We'll assume that the shoelaces kind of converge underneath that flap of fabric right there. This probably would have been easier to do had I not carved those in underneath, but I was originally planning on doing an insert tube to draw these out. But I think I'm liking this better, and it's going to give us more bang for the buck. I don't know, I tend to err on like let's make life easier and just get something out first. Get something going, and then we can refine as we go. I think that's a less destructive approach. And up close it looks a little bit messed up, but if you're back here, you know, and your character's tiny, let's just let's move on from it. Let's not get too married to it, or picky with it, I should say. And then typically they have these little lines that kind of come down right here like this. Let's turn off everything else so we can actually sculpt behind. Turn on solo, and let's just add some detail. I'm going to turn down my intensity just a little. Add some wrinkles down there. This guy's using these boots, man. They're getting used and abused. Okay, and I think that's probably good for the boots for now. And we're going to do refining as we go, so no worries there. There's always going to be some refining going on. And I think our pants are still a little bit tight, a little bit too punk rock. Let's try and like maybe bulk those out a little bit. And that's easier said than done when you're modeling the wrinkles, but let's just try and add a little bit of bulk to these pants. And specifically in this like knee area. Using the standard brush now, And okay, let's mirror and weld the shoe over, so he's not an amputee. There's no offense. A lot of these guys were actually amputees after serving, so add a little bit of a bulge here. I know it's going to be uncomfortable for us all, but we're just going to do it. And then there's always this little, you know, that guy. So we've got that seam up there on the shirt, so we need that seam down here, so this guy can take care of business when he's got to go wee-wee. I'm gonna up my resolution on my polygons just a little as well, so we can get those in there. And then I'm gonna continue this seam down in the crotch area. And then we might as well add, like, I think they have these pockets, these kind of square pockets right here. And let's do this, turn these guys off. And then, so using H polish and holding Alt to pull things out again. I find myself doing that more and more, just using H polish to come out with the detail as opposed to just flattening stuff out. A seam that runs along the pants right here. So these guys could get access to their pockets. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we're at 45 minutes again here. I think I'm gonna wrap this one up. So we got a lot of good detailing going. We got the belt, the mole gear, and we're gonna have to continue pushing this stuff, obviously, but it's coming along. Got the beanie on there, the boots, and then in the next video, we'll focus on the packs. And that's going to significantly change our profile of our character. He's going to get a lot less slender, which reminds me, he is pretty skinny. So maybe before I do all that, I think I'm going to switch over to Transpose Master and do a few adjustments here real quick. If you'd like to join me. So it might take a while based on how many subtools you got and how high poly they are. So turning symmetry back on, I'm going to use the snake hook brush and go to town on some of these. I kind of like the idea, honestly, of this character not being pear-shaped, but just less idealized, more like a normal person, normal human being who does insane things. So, just gonna take a little pass here at that stuff. Bulking out the pants still. We didn't do a whole lot back here. It's looking pretty smooth, so. Just remember, you're in transpose, Tyson. I'm telling myself, not you. If I start doing mesh extracts and anything that changes the topology of our mesh, we can get into trouble again. So, not that it's really trouble. I mean, there's so many workarounds in Zbrush. It's like, it's hard to get into serious trouble, honestly. So, square out that tush a little. He's been doing his ruck marches, so he's got some glutes. He's got some muscles back here. I had buddies tell me that watching me do ZBrush is very therapeutic for them. I wonder if you feel the same. I find too, like watching Bob Ross paint and stuff, and artists just do things. It's like so therapeutic. It's like you just watch it for hours. It helps you to calm down. And these crazy times, it's hard to calm down. So I'm curious to know how many of you are actually doing these, actually making stuff, or you kind of just watching just to kind of be entertained, or both, or what? Share it. Sharing is caring. I said that. Okay, what do these back pockets look like? They got like, I think they've got these like square kind of pockets back here. Like this. Oops. Do they? I think so, yeah. Yeah, Tyson. Okay. I'm gonna go to subtool and do an extract. Change my thickness down to like 0.009. Hit accept, and now we've got back pockets. I don't know why I say it like that. I think it's because Golem says that. Like he's talking about the ring. Such a nerd, so nerdy. Okay, Dynamesh, and it's doing some kind of weird deal. It's okay. All right, let's be good. Oh, you know what I did? I did it again, you guys. I need to undo. I just need to delete this guy. I think it's when you do an extract that that's when you get host. So let's see. Okay, good. We're still good. We're gonna do that pockets back here after we've pushed everything back to our original ZTL. Man, it's so easy to get distracted over there. You guys are seeing firsthand my ADD. ADHD, if you will. I don't think ADD exists anymore. I think it's been beat out by ADHD. Then let's bring these guys all the way down for kicks. Let's pull these down. Okay. And again, don't worry, we're going to refine all this and just make everything look super cool once we get all of our rough things in place. We're just thinking broad strokes right now, people. No judgments. Well, obviously, we're doing a little bit of detailing as we go along, but it's still in very early stages. Quality of this thing. Okay. I'm going to save. Because we went into, I think I just had another stroke. Because we went into transpose mode, it broke. So we're gonna do a save as. And one thing I'm seeing that's significantly different, even though we are going to stylized mode, is it looks like our character's neck is much longer and skinnier. So I'm gonna beef up his neck just a little bit and his shoulders. So I'm alt left clicking between my subtools to kind of get those into place. I'm trying to avoid going back to transpose master because I know you're probably yell at me. Probably get tired of that. But, I think this is looking better. He's looking a tiny bit less scrawny. Okay, sweet. All right, saving, moving on. Like, comment, subscribe. In the next video, we'll dive into the packs. We'll do like the butt pack and the canteens and the ammo pouches and things like that. So we'll see you guys later.